Good evening from Johannesburg. I'm Fikile Pili. I'm a Municipal Revenue Enhancement Specialist. Welcome, let's talk, have it out. Tonight and every night here on ENCA, a variety of different newsmakers will get their chance to host this program. Interview people with who we disagree and give you a chance to get involved in the conversation. Unnullified, accountable, and accessible, and it all starts now. Tonight, I asked a question. What is the future of local government in Gauteng? The reason I asked this question is because as a municipal revenue enhancement specialist, I have to work with quite a number of dysfunctional municipalities around the province. Some of the dysfunctional municipalities, perform municipalities, include data cleansing, indigent verification, and details of municipal officials politically inclined on my data cleansing system. I come across chief financial officers who are unqualified, municipal managers who don't come anywhere near the required job. Specifications with all this language over municipalities. How do we move forward from where I stayed? Municipalities will never be able to render quality services to our people as long as we deploy incompetent people through cadre deployment. To discuss this, I'm joined and in studio by Keith Khoza from Government of Gauteng Cocta Department. I just want you to get involved in this conversation. Welcome, Mr. Khoza.
Thank you.
Yeah. Tonight, we are discussing the deployment of municipal officials. Today in South Africa, I work with municipalities. I do revenue enhancement, data cleansing, indigent verification. When I do my verification, I come across chief financial officers who don't have qualifications. I come across municipal managers who don't qualify to be municipal managers, including councillors. Now tell me, why do we deploy people without qualifications in municipalities?
Well, there is no decision under the current dispensation that encourages or prescribes the appointment of unqualified people. The government is on record, particularly cooperative government department, both national, provincially, and even SALGA, where they voiced their concern about the levels of qualifications and the competency of people that are appointed in local government. If you just take a glance and look at the audit findings of most municipalities, it is a reflection of lack of skills within municipalities. That translates in a number of challenges, whether it be regular expenditure, wasteful expenditure, or incompetence of any sort. The government has a responsibility to ensure that we professionalize that sphere of government. Remember, local government is the most effective sphere of government in that it is the actual interface between the government and the people on the ground. As a ratepayer, when you wake up in the morning, you want to walk down a road that's properly done. You want to see functioning traffic lights. You want electricity. You want water in your house. So all these services are provided by local government. Now, if local government becomes dysfunctional, it means the standard or level of services does suffer. And it is a problem that we have been seized with as government to try and turn that around. We're dealing with people, it's a challenge, but we're all enjoined in all spheres of government to be seized with that responsibility. How do we make our government effective, professional, and accountable. It boils down to a point of the competency of the people that are deployed in government, particularly local government.
Okay. Now, tell me, I do data cleansing and background on municipalities. I will make you an example. In the Eastern Cape, out of 39 municipalities, 25 CFOs did not have qualifications. I do data cleansing around municipal directors and municipal managers. I come across managers and directors who don't have qualifications. Now, who is deploying people in municipalities? Is it COGTA, is it politicians, or is it councillors?
Well, remember that in the public service, there are set processes in terms of recruitment. However, if you look at what we call the political offices or the private offices of any sphere of government, the latitude is with a political head to appoint people that would work with them. It could be that some of the lapses are in that space. It could also be that in certain instances, the due process is not followed to the latter to make sure that we go out, get the best skill, and deploy the best skill. And that's a challenge that needs to be confronted by our government. By the way, it is not only in local government where this has to happen. And that's why we have had over time the issue of competency audits in our departments and so on to make sure that the public service is able to deliver what it has promised or that it has to deliver, without any compromise of the quality of services, and the standard must be in line with the expectation of the consumer. In this case, it is the public. The public want quality service, and we have a responsibility to deliver a specified service in its right quality at the right time.
Okay. Now, I want to ask you one question. If a politician who's a provincial chairperson deploy regional chairperson who toes the line, you find the regional chairperson or secretary recommends his friend or his cousin or his to be a mayor, what does it say to the political spectrum around the country? Because I come across, when I do background checks on municipalities, for example, I did a data cleansing on a municipality where I discovered that the lady was cleaning toilets. She was converted into a mayor. She's now a PEC member. The guy who had a plumbing certificate is now a municipal manager. When I exposed him, they removed him to the district. He's now a director with a matric and a plumbing certificate. And then I did a data cleansing. One white guy who was a chief financial officer wrote debt of councillors, of farmers. When I reported to the council, the mayor said, I don't understand the dynamics. How do you allow farmers who are making millions to have debt to be written off? They were owing the municipality water. So I want to know, going forward, because municipalities are the pride of the people, municipalities must render quality services. We must employ councillors and municipal employees who've got a vision, who's going to lead our municipality so that our people must receive better services. Now, if going forward, we are still going to have this rotten fruits of cadre deployment, do you think that going forward, people will have confidence in municipalities? And do you think that going forward, we'll have people voting on local government elections?
Well, I think there are two issues that we need to deal with separately. The first one is the deployment of the political cohort in the administration. Usually, it is not measured in terms of your academic qualification for you to be a mayor, for you to be a councillor. However, there is a prescribed process to deal with officials that do the day-to-day administrative functioning of a municipality. I know that in some instances, in other parts of the world, for you to be a politician, you must have a particular qualification. Those are standards that have been set by those countries. But if you look at our situation as a developing country, we haven't reached that stage yet where we can prescribe the academic qualification of a politician. However, what counterbalances that is the prescription of the qualification of the administrator that is going to work with that politician. For instance, part of my studies in the public administration is that in most countries where the system allows, for instance, in Britain, you would find that a politician goes into a department with no knowledge of the functioning of the department. But the understanding is that the permanent secretary, who is the head of department, leads a team of specialists that understand that environment, and that would be a support and a resource to the politician for them to understand what is it that needs to be done. And often, over time, a politician tends to understand that policy environment. It is also expected that from a political party point of view, a politician understands the policy platform they represent in government. They might not have the academic qualifications, but at least they must understand what is the policy environment they are going to be operating on.
Okay. Now, I want to ask this question. As someone from COCTA, who is qualified, who's experienced, if we are going to continue deploying people who don't have a vision, who are not academics, where is our municipalities going to be in the future? I'll make you an example. When I do background checks on councillors, I come across, you took someone from the taxi rank to be a councillor. That person has never seen a 29,000 in his life. He's even willing to kill for that amount of money. Now, I'm proposing this to you as a COCTA HOD. In Gauteng, why don't you finance councillors? Because they go to council meeting twice a month or once. Why don't you finance them to go to study so that in the future, when their political career comes to an end, they must be employable somewhere? Because some of them, when their term comes to an end, they cause disorderly situation in the townships, they burn tires, they cause protest, they shoot other councillors simply because of now. They've never realized that their term of office will come to an end. So that if they go to tertiary, they must be employable somewhere. Because I go to council meetings, you find the councillors are sleeping. But when the speaker say budget, they all wake up. They want to hear what is the budget because they want resources. We don't want such councillors. We want councillors who are going to present a business plan to the community and tell the community how they are going to make sure that there is water, sanitation and reticulation in the townships, in the wards, and how they are going to render services. For example, I come across in municipalities, what I've realized is that provincial chairpersons and regional chairpersons, they use municipalities as low-hanging fruits. They employ mayors and councillors and chief financial officers who toe the line. You find that a municipality in Joburg will employ someone in Durban. Why can't they employ the locals in Gauteng? So my view is that why don't we get academics in municipalities? Because I have this view. If we go to next local government elections and we request that every councillor that must go to be a councillor must be qualified. Because what is the use? You take someone who's got a Form 1, that person becomes the MMC of finance. He doesn't know anything about finance, but he's MMC of finance. Why don't COCTA take a resolution and take it to Parliament that we need to appoint academics and visionaries in municipalities? Because municipalities are the pride of the people. Municipalities must render quality services. Look now at the audit report. Look what has happened. Kimi Makweti has discovered quite a number of corruption in municipalities. And if government don't render quality services in municipalities, we are going to lose the state. Our people are very disgruntled today because of why we deploy people who are seeing municipalities as low-hanging fruits, not as the pride of the people.
Well, I wouldn't generalize it as you do to say that councillors are prone to be violent if they are not elected. There are many decent councillors that I've come across, that I've worked with, that they take their work as responsible as possible. They are doing the best. For instance, every council has a caucus, every caucus has a study group, and those study groups are forums where you skill them in the policy space. I think the issue for me is really to look at the administration, because that's what turns the local government. Your administrative core is where key decisions, whether it's procurement, service delivery and everything happens. It is at that level. Because if you look at FMFA, from MFMA for municipalities, it prescribes certain processes that should be adhered to by municipalities in the process of appointing service providers in terms of tenders and so on. So it's highly regulated. So you need somebody who can relate to the level required in terms of performance at that level, more so than the councillor. Because remember, the councillors do not get involved in procurement of services. You know, they play a political role, they play an oversight in terms of the policy space in which the municipality operates on.
Okay. We'll go to a break. When we come back, we'll continue with our conversation.